Yeah, welcome to Coffee and Cannabis. I'm your host, Eliza, and this is
Corey, what up?
And today we have the epitome of leadership in the building, Black excellence, carrying the torch of his father, Mr. Martin Luther King III. Thank you,
and
sir.
my frat brother.
Thank you, sir, so much for taking this time to be with us here.
Thank you. I appreciate having the opportunity.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we definitely have to shout out M4MM. Thank you for allowing us, for Coffee and Cannabis, to be your podcast partner. We're at the Dice Mixer party here in Vegas, and we are just so excited. So we don't have a lot of time with Mr. King, so we are going to just jump right into it. So I got the pleasure of going to your talk earlier at the town hall. And, you know, us in cannabis, we're basically like the forbidden fruit, right? People don't really want to join the fight with us. Leaders feel like it might taint their image or their name. So, you know, what made you decide to jump in this fight with us and fight for an equitable industry, especially for Black and brown folks?
Well, first of all, and thank you for the question and the opportunity to share today. But first of all, this is a business opportunity that is going to be huge. It might be big now, but it's going to be huge. And oftentimes when new businesses and opportunities are created, the Black and brown community is the last one to be able to enjoy whatever the benefits may be. So this is, in a sense, a ground floor opportunity in many ways. We could discuss stigma, whatever. That's not my issue. My issue is if something new is happening that's going to be very significant, and in communities of color, we have been, as many, but we have been involved in using products that have not been legal but are now legal, and in many ways there are all kind of medicinal effects that I don't even think we have. Oh my gosh,
It's okay.
is that all right? There are many medicinal effects. I don't think we've scratched the surface yet to understand. Certainly we know that glaucoma as one thing, but all kinds of things. I mean, CBD oil relaxes persons and causes you to be able to get more rest, and probably does something to your system internally that is needed. So I think the goal is really more education than anything else, because people really don't know that there's a stigma because of what we've seen in the past. Right. And then the other final part for now is that, the fact that there are literally thousands of young Black and brown brothers in jail, yes, and sisters now too as well, yes, that were convicted of issues that no longer are illegal, and we need to figure out how do you expunge these records. Now, there are a myriad of issues that we have to address. And so if I can use the final part, I'm sorry. UFCW, as a union, organizes and makes sure workers' rights are protected, preserved, and are treated fairly. This industry is going to have zillions of workers. Yes. So they should not be exploited. You create a better environment when people are making decent wages, paid with dignity and respect, trained properly. Labor or organized labor helps to do that. So those are several reasons why I am engaged and involved.
And listen, I'm really appreciate you lending your voice to these challenges. I want to circle back to the educational component. In my day job, I'm a professor. And that space, I think, is really, really critical. But the research component is, you spoke about glaucoma and all of these issues, right, that cannabis can pretty much solved for a lot of folks.
Yep.
But we need more research, and that means that we need more educational institutions to get on board. What does that look like for you, especially HBCUs, right? I know that you went to one, and in the Black community, especially us as owners, operators, trying to get into this space, we need the Black community. You spoke earlier about unity, right? We need them to come together. How do you think that can look, and what can they do to support us better in this industry?
So I think that the reality is, when we look at, again, one of the biggest issues on the planet is how do you create unity? And I'm talking about just in our community. Because quite frankly, if we understood unity and engaged in it, there probably is nothing that we as a community could not accomplish.
Right.
For whatever, we know the nuances. We know we've been programmed against ourselves. We've been subconsciously taught to dislike and hate ourselves.
Yes.
So when it comes to, there's X number of African American or historically African American HBCUs. And so it should be pretty easy to mobilize them to have development. I think that the fear, again, here's the big problem. The stigma that is the perceived stigma,
right.
The fear.
Right.
So until more of us come and be engaged talking about this in an open way, and what I should say is when more of us do that, and I think that I don't purport to have this very large platform. I think when we come to the table, when, the name King, it represents a moral authority.
Right.
And the hope is that it will inspire others who may have been concerned and afraid to come out and say, hey, maybe this is something we need to look into. We need to get involved with. We need to do. Because as I said, just the business part of it is going to be, I can't imagine what it's going to be. Right. I just know it's going to be huge.
Yes.
And we should never be left out of a responsible opportunity. And it's so, today earlier today I was in the convention center, and I was looking at all this technology. I'm like, my goodness, we're missing out. We got to get to the table.
Money.
And that's what I'm saying. But of course, HBCUs need more R&D entities, need departments, and when you have those departments and have the right professors, then you're able to get grants and budgets, which is what is needed. Right. That's where we always have been limited, but we don't have to be. Right. So I think getting engaged in this way, I would hopefully want to see some of the large companies that do mentoring to mentor some of the online who become companies, whether it's in growing, whether it's in selling, whatever the component is. Because as I said, if you're really, the key is always information. Yes. And education.
Yes.
And being a professor, you know that better than me. So many people just don't know. Yes. And those who do know are at the table. But we need to expand that table.
Right.
The only thing I would add to that, Brother King, is that I would love, my day job is I do work for a major cannabis company. I'm a VP for one. And I would like to see more HBCUs come up with class, whether it's individual courses
yes.
or segments of degrees towards cannabis, right? You could have someone going for their marketing degree could easily have a course specifically on cannabis marketing because the laws and the rules of cannabis marketing are different.
Right.
Or same thing if you're doing already, you're going to one of the agricultural HBCUs, cannabis is agriculture,
right? That's right. That's right.
So having coursework built into some of these, whether it's associate's, bachelor's degree programs, with some coursework directed towards cannabis, so that it allows also the HBCU schools to do joint partnerships with cannabis companies existing as a pipeline to get students, black and brown students from those HBCUs into those companies, right? You know, we always talk about ownership, and obviously ownership is a huge thing, but like I said, I might not have ever been a VP in my, you know, I'm an engineer by trade. I might not have been a VP at L'Oreal where I started my career, but I'm a VP in my 30s at a cannabis company.
Yeah.
Right. So
incredible opportunity.
It's opportunity, and I think a lot of people don't realize there are real careers in cannabis too, and a pipeline from HBCUs to that career field, I think could be super beneficial to our people.
So I think and you are absolutely on target. And the real question is, what is the entity that creates that consciousness so that can be become a part of a curriculum?
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer to that, but I know it exists.
Yeah.
But you're exactly, I mean, that's the only way, that's one of the ways, I should say, that we can become greatly engaged, because, you know, folks our number of the students going to, you know, HBCUs is actually on the not decrease but increase.
Incline,
And especially in a climate where they are trying to, they've removed affirmative action for the wrong reasons. But
correct, yes.
The fact of the matter is, you've got a large pool of young people who are interested in acquiring education.
Right.
So this is prime time.
Right.
And I think maybe it's about convening, maybe it's identifying one institution. Maybe not, but this is just an idea. And if it's one president of one of the HBCUs, he or she can begin to convene others.
Yes.
But he or she has to, it's almost like a pioneering effort.
Yes.
Yeah.
And others are going to say, you know, well, if he's doing it or she's doing it, we need to be doing it too.
Yep.
You know.
No, absolutely. All you HBCUs, hit up Minority Cannabis Academy to you know, work with you to create that curriculum, and you got to pay them though.
Yes, and going back to opportunities, that really ushers in a whole other conversation, because the educational component is an industry itself, right? That could support HBCUs or any institutions get more enrollment, because now people will be interested in going into an entirely new industry. From the R&D perspective, or, you know, getting research and grants, that's why the conversation on, you know, scheduling, descheduling, because schools cannot get grants to, you know, do some of this research if cannabis is on this schedule. So it's like one thing affects another, and that's why
that I didn't think about.
And that's why it's really important, to your point, to have leaders like yourself in this conversation, because sometimes really it's about the credible messenger that's bringing the story to the forefront, and then other people will say, well, if he's sitting there on a podcast called Coffee and Cannabis and he's saying that this is an opportunity, maybe some of us should get sort of on board as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time and the conversation. I hope others take this and walk away with wanting to continue to pioneer this movement. Corey, you got anything that you want to close with?
No, just, you know, thank you for taking your and your family's name and legacy.
Yes.
And, you know, taking the risk of putting it towards cannabis, because obviously your name carries weight.
Yeah.
So being able to take it and put your name towards cannabis is a really big deal, and hopefully it ushers others that names have that legacy to do the same.
Yeah. Thank you for fighting the fight with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Peace.
But just know we are at the M4MM Dice Mixer in Vegas 2023. This shit is fire. And of course, we need to talk to the woman who put it all together, the incredible Roz McCarthy. Thank you, baby, for
Big Roz. Put some respect on her name.
Big Roz in the building.
Yeah, show some respect.
Hey, listen.
Yes, listen.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
We're happy to be having.
First and foremost, I just want to genuinely, as a young, you know, black woman, say thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you
Yeah.
for the work that you have done,
Thank you.
for the work that you continue to do.
Yeah.
So passionate about this plant, but
Yeah.
also us as
Yeah.
people and what we need to do and just the unity that we need.
Yeah. No.
Right.
I do this because it was my entry into this industry was really purely from a mother's heart. My mother, a love for my son. My son is here today at the Dice Mixer. He flew in. He's a second-year pharmacy student, but almost 7.5 years ago, he was in high school. He has sickle cell anemia. And as you guys know, sickle cell affects the black community disproportionately.
Yep.
A little bit closer to the mic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big facts.
And so with that disease, a genetic disease, of the pain crises and the pain management that goes with that, and how many times they want to put our young men and our young women on Dilaudid and morphine and all these different opioids and narcotics that make them feel like shit. It dulls the pain, but afterwards you feel like crap. And for me, when Florida was about to go legal, because we're based in Orlando, I said, you know what, I just threw my hat in the ring, and I said, I need to create something that's going to be an umbrella for my community, that's going to allow me to educate, but if nothing else, it will provide a safe haven so that my son, if he wants to consume cannabis for his sickle cell, he has the ability to not feel like I'm a druggie, like all this negative stigma that's around this plant, and especially black men. Raising a black man and knowing the challenges he's going to have, I said, not on my watch. And so the work that I do started from a mother's love, and I do feel like I'm everybody's mom. I'm either mom, auntie, godmother, grandma. I'm not grandmother. We won't go there yet.
Not there yet. Not yet.
Even though my baby has, my fiance has grandkids, and yeah, I'm too fly, right? But I think when you start from that place of love, that is so authentic. I know my North Star. It's so clear in my mind why I do what I do. When I started, I wasn't a patient, but then, I would tell you that God puts you in places that you never know. Like, you look back and you're like, why is this happening to me? Why does it feel so, like, why am I in this dark place? But He brings you through things, and it's the through part that we have to underline. Not the bad, not the good, but when you go through it, that means it's only for a certain amount of time, and you will transition to the other side, right? And life is about cycles. The cycle of life is like, that's living. And so when I ended up getting, I was in a car collision, suffered a traumatic brain injury, and had my own personal experience of how cannabis brought me back to life, it brought me full circle as to, I started out helping my kid, but this plant ended up helping and saving my life. Wow. And so I have a responsibility to this industry, to my people, to myself.
Yes.
But you also in that put a lot on the line. If y'all ain't done y'all homework, regional director, marketing partner, without cannabis or any of this, you already had a.
Listen, my resume real tight and real strong.
Yeah, but I was like, your resume was already
strong.
You was
if
already
you don't
big
know,
time.
Google it. No, I'm just joking. No, listen. My background prior to all of this stuff was all of it was in healthcare management, marketing, business development, sales. But the brunt of my experience with brand product development came from working with Bristol Myers Squibb, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the country. I spent 10 years.
Wow.
Right? So in 10 years, I was trained by the best of the best of the best in understanding how do you take a product and bring it to fruition. How do you sell to a physician? How do you sell to a clinician? How do you get a consumer to want to buy and purchase that product? It is a mesh. It all comes together, right? And they spend a lot of money of training. And, I have a degree in chemistry, but I was always told, like, Roz, you got to give the gab. Like, you have this, and I have people that were my clients, I shouldn't say clients, but that were in my territory that I used to sell to that I could call right now and they will remember me, right? And that's why, there's a book, one of my favorite ones is Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right?
Yep.
It's the Bible of sales and marketing. And what I do right now is marketing for my brand, for my organization, in order for me to get a sponsor to say, I'm going to put money into this, I got to sell them on what I'm doing, why it's important, and why your dollars will make a difference, and the value that brings, right? And so that's because I've been trained to understand how do you position yourself. Talking about, communication, verbal versus nonverbal, all of that good stuff. So I'll be 54 next Thursday.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Queen.
Yes.
Beautiful.
I'm a sash. It's December baby. But I have all this experience, and that's what I'm telling you. Like, if you would have said, what career do you think you will end your business, your working career, what will that be before you retire? If you would have said cannabis, I would have said you're on crack.
Yeah.
Like, I would have been like, no.
Yeah.
So funny story. One of my good friends was here tonight, and she and I went to college together. We went to Florida State together, and she was with her husband and with two of their friends, and she was like, this one right here, out of everyone, no, I never smoked when I was in college. They were like, and you are now leading the cannabis industry. And this is why you have to follow like what's in your spirit.
Yes.
Because if you follow it, it won't you won't go wrong. So I don't know.
No, I relate to that. By the way, my book that I enjoyed was Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi.
Yeah.
But
how about Raven Fans, which is one of my favorite ones.
See, I haven't. My two were always Never Eat Alone and then Extreme Ownership by Jonathan Willett.
Raven Fans is how do you create fans who rave about you when you're not in the room?
Gotcha.
How do you? It's a real thin book, but it's so good.
No,
and
good.
like Who Moved My Cheese was one of my favorite ones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I that was when I used to. When I was in sales and marketing with Bristol, and I had a territory, and I managed a region, and I had people that reported to me, and we would have changes or what have you. I would always make them read Who Moved My Cheese to remind you that change is going to happen. It will happen. It just assures you take breath. But if you know how to manage that change and know how to make it work for you and then move with it and don't become stagnant, I mean, you can go so far. And so I love Raven Fans, Who Moved My Cheese. And then my favorite before I realized I was going to do this was the 4-Hour Work Week. So prior to starting M4MM, I was a consultant. I was consulting nonprofits, chambers of commerce. I was on the board for the California Black Chamber. And so my goal in my mind was, let me figure out how to build my own business so that I can have a 4-hour work week. Not knowing I was gonna put that to the side and come over here. I will tell you, I've never worked so hard. I've never put so many hours in. I've never felt like I wanted to give up, but didn't give up. But I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
That's beautiful.
In doing what I'm doing right now.
No, I agree. I was in pharma as well.
Yeah.
On the operations side for Westford Pharmaceutical, which is a more generics pharmaceutical company, making 1 million vials of fentanyl a day.
Wow.
We were a stage 2 narcotic facility, so DEA audits, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And and my whole career was like, I live in Jersey, I'm from Jersey, I'm in operations, I'm an engineer, I'm working my way to pharma, right? That's just how that goes. And working cosmetics, working food and bev, working nutraceutical. Oh, I'm in pharma, I made it, I'm at the mountaintop. And then my buddy calls me and he's like, yeah, I got a plant manager job for you with MedMen, Cannabis. What? I'll make the pay work. Okay. And I've never looked back. 6 years later, it's just like, I left drugs with going into the stigma of, oh, you're going to go be a drug dealer. And it's like, no. I think the 1 million vials of fentanyl a day were the drugs.
Right.
But yeah.
And isn't it funny how people want to use the stigma of this plant and not realizing that this plant has made a difference? It truly is medicine. And so I've had so many examples between my son, my mother, unfortunately, when she passed away in 2005, cannabis wasn't an option. She was in the state of Florida. But I saw her quality of life, she was diagnosed one year and she was gone the next year.
Yeah.
And the quality of life and how she just kind of crashed. It made me realize that she's I may not be able to support my mom or help my mom, but there's so many Loises out there who are going to be diagnosed with, she had breast cancer, who are going to need something to give them some quality of life. She wasn't eating, all the things that cannabis can help with.
Yeah.
And it just dawned on me. And then, and to get it on top of that, to even take it another step further, a lot of people don't know this. when I was maybe like 15, 16 years old. My parents were divorced, and my mom was raising me or whatever. Maybe I was a little younger, maybe 10, or maybe 12 or 13, maybe 11, 12, 13. My father lost his eyesight to glaucoma.
Okay.
And he ended up having a nervous breakdown, became, bipolar. I don't know if I should say he became bipolar, but schizophrenic. Like he ended up having his second wife basically take advantage of him, and he settled out of court because he was discriminated against for his disability, long story short. But she basically left him and didn't care for him. And he went inside of his brain to talk to,
figure it all out.
But it was just basically spiraled out of control. And so I lost my mom in 2005, I lost my dad in 2008, and it was like your dad could have used cannabis, maybe the glaucoma wouldn't have happened. Yeah. Your mom could have used cannabis, maybe she would.
Better quality of life.
Maybe better quality of life. And now I got my son, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at all this stuff, and then to step out and say I'm going to do this, I just stepped out. And when I stepped out, my son was 16, my daughter was 11. I'm a single mom. I got my clients, and when I'm stepping out on this, I was like, okay, I built the website or whatever, but I got to put my energy into it. So I stopped taking clients, right? And I will tell you this, you cannot serve two masters. When you know that something is for you, you gotta just put everything in and say, fuck it, excuse my language, and be like, this is what I'm gonna do. And you take those, it was such a difficult time in a very uncomfortable place. I'm okay with being uncomfortable when my children are uncomfortable.
That's
but
different.
I was so passionate about, I just felt compelled to do this work. And I'm so glad that I did, because like I said, I've never worked harder in my life, but I'm so fulfilled. Every single day I wake up excited about what I'm going to do. Now sometimes I'm stressed, which is right now, because the industry right now is so contracted, it's affecting everyone.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're an MSO, if you're a small business, if you're ancillary business, it's so tight. And because we're a nonprofit and we don't get the ability to go after normal grants and things of that nature, I really do rely on the industry to support us, to see our vision, and to put resources into it, right? So
by resources, she mean money.
Money, I do.
Give up the money. And
we've seen kind of some highs and lows, but 2023 has definitely been a low where I'm
money's tight.
I'm I don't know if I can do it. But then you have a night like tonight.
Oh, beautiful, wonderful night.
You have a night like tonight where, can I tell you why I started this? Why I started doing the mixer, the dice mixer?
Yes.
Let me tell you why. 2018, I come to MJBiz reluctantly. Because
that year too?
Yeah, why reluctantly?
Reluctantly because prior to that time, I felt because I started M for MM in 2016.
Yep.
2017, now I'm watching everything happen. And I just felt like MJBiz could have done more in regards to embracing equity and operators and people of color. And I was like, I'm not going to that. I was like, I'm not doing it. Then finally in 2018, I said, you know what? I need to go and see what it's all about. I need to go see for myself, because I was only getting anecdotal from other people. Mm-hmm. So what I came to see in 2018 was exactly what it was: a few black people, brown people walking around. You would have the after-hour parties, and I got invited to go to Arcview, got invited to go one other one, but Arcview is the one I remember. It was at the Cosmopolitan. Yep. And I remember feeling like a fish out of water.
Yeah, you was the only black face in the room.
I was one of maybe 4. And the room was literally 300 people. Mm-hmm. And I would walk by people and they would look at me and be like, why are you? It was the funkiest, why the fuck are you here look that I ever experienced in my life.
It's wild, right? And you're like, is this weed?
Right. And it was wild. I'm like, so you trying to tell me that you guys can't make space for? And I would try to make conversation with people and they would just be like, huh, and kind of, and this is 2018. So the evolution of social equity really hadn't caught on.
It wasn't
even
there.
if you can fake it that you care, in 2018 nobody gave it. I don't care.
Yeah, 2018 I was the director for MedMen.
Yeah.
So that was my first year coming to MJBizCon.
Yeah.
And it was like,
You was the other one she saw in the room.
Right, yeah. You saw me from across the
right,
table.
and
You was like, hey, that's brother.
and you saw me, and then we give each other the head nod. Be like,
I see you.
Ain't gotta say nothing else but the head nod, right? And then, the head nod be like, this some bullshit.
Yeah.
This some bull,
No,
right?
yeah,
and so it was a few people I saw, and I said, this, like, it was the pros was walking through the expo hall, showed me the possibilities of opportunities in this industry, right? Mm-hmm. Because we didn't get, the one thing about the industry is we don't have to recreate the wheel. There's people that are doing things right now that we can tap into as equity, as minority business owners. You like
it exists already.
It exists already. Don't try to recreate it. Figure out what they did. It's not rocket science, and flip it and make it work for yourself. Yeah. So the ideas that I saw in the industry and the opportunities, I was like, oh. So love that part. But the other networking part, which is where you start talking to people that are saying, I want to work with you, I want to work with you, whatever the case may be, that's what I didn't see. So what I said was, because of my experience in working with other nonprofits and chambers and doing these meetings and doing these award shows and dinners and events, I said, you know what, I'm going to do an event and I'm going to call it DICE. DICE stands for Diversity and Cannabis Experience, right? And I'm going to just, next year at MJBiz. So I rented the penthouse over at the Palms, not the hotel, but the condo side.
Yeah, the resident side.
The resident side. And I said, I think it was Nicole Buffon. I said, we're going to do our own event. And so I said, I want a chef there that's going to cook. We're going to have a DJ. It was on the 57th floor. Look, it was a wraparound balcony. It went over the whole entire floor.
View of the strip.
And I said, a view of the strip. And I said, we're going to manage it so that when you come in, like I did things as simple as putting diffuser with lemongrass. So when you walked in, you was like, man, wow, I touched all the senses, right? And it was a vibe. When I tell you it was a vibe, that's when I knew the energy in the room. That's when I knew, okay, we got something, right?
You can make your own thing out of this. Yeah.
And you know what? And not apologize for celebrating us and being able to get us together and giving us an outlet where we feel good and we talk to one another. And that was year one. And then year two, I ended up finding this location. And then we were here year three. And this is year four at this location. And we've just built on when we started from year one to now.
Very cool location too. When I didn't even know it was like, oh, we got a festival. It's like a damn near art installation.
Yeah, it's dope.
It's a lot.
It's dope. I was here I came last year to this party. It was incredible. I was the dad bar.
That was her first MJBizCon.
I was fucked up.
Yeah. So those of you that haven't been to MJBizCon understand that obviously it's a big convention, but the real convention is all the parties at night.
Yeah,
it's all the different companies and different. I know last year was right after the Diddy buying Cresco thing, so they had a big part. Like it's really the networking out effect, and the networking is important. Y'all can't see it, but right here off camera, like I believe in having your tree, the people you touch, the people you work with, and grow with. My man Tom over here that I worked with, but a Fire and Oak dispensary in Mount Holly, New Jersey. Also social equity candidate. Don't let a skin color fool y'all.
I forgot Tom was trapping.
Tom has a cannabis.
He's trapping.
Yeah, he's trapping back in the day. And he worked with Dead Man in the air.
Hustle, man.
But like even this year, I haven't been to MJBiz in 3 years. I didn't go through the whole COVID, so this is my first time coming back, and my whole tree is calling my phone. Right, people I worked with at MedMed, people I worked with at Air, people I work with at my current company, people that we know from the New Jersey scene, or I do a lot of work with Danielle, so from the social equity side of it, and it's just like, oh, everybody here, so that networking matters. You just walk on the floor.
It's so key. If you don't, I got up on the stage prior to Martin Luther King III speaking and really acknowledging and honoring his work and using his influence to put a magnifying glass to employees, because guess what, a lot of those employees look like us. They're black and brown people that need that support. But the one thing I encourage people is that you have to, like, your net worth is your net worth, right? And we are in this room and we need to stop and ask you, hi, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Roz. What's your name? What do you do in the industry? You'll be surprised how things will open up and opportunities that you never expect, right? And so we've done that every single, so our first year, my ex-husband, we're friendly exes, right? And so he was there, and he gets on stage, and he's an orator, and he's very gifted. And he really set the tone, like, I want you guys to have a good time, But we're here to make sure that the economic opportunities and cooperative economic opportunities that we need to be thinking about and pursuing, that we do it tonight. Because if you don't see each other on the floor tomorrow, tonight you have the opportunity to stop
Everybody's here now.
and ask, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yep.
Listen, we got to figure out how to work together. And so it was, that set the tone. So every year it's been about, let's have a good time. I'm going to feed you. You're going to get your drinks. You're going to make sure I got desserts for you. I got smoke.
Yep.
And we're going to have the music. We're going to have some entertainment. But the other piece is you got to go out and seize the moment and tap into just opportunities, right? And I mean, it's just been beautiful.
So 2 years after you got your vibe going, then you decide to start Black Buddha.
Yeah, Black Buddha was 2021. Yeah, the end of 2021, in a car accident, suffered a traumatic brain injury. That experience just changed my life in regards to, like, I just felt like my life was flashing before me. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to die. And it's not, when you lose the faculty of your brain, it's a lot different than high blood pressure. Like, when you feel like the way that you normally process and the way that, because my brain is quick, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Not anymore.
And slow down a little bit.
It slowed me way down. It's very scary because if you're used to, like, being able to multitask, being able to think off the hook, I would get on phone calls and try to work, and I couldn't even articulate words. And I literally took about 8 weeks off because I was just that sick. During that time, Nicole Buffon, who has been, like, just a part of my life, and I knew that she was a plant medicine based. She was someone that she knows the plant. My kids were in college, and I'm home alone, and I said, Nicole, I need help. It was the first time, to be honest with you, that I said, I'm not okay. Because as you guys can see, I was raised by a strong woman. My mom worked for UPS for 26 years as a driver. And she was a UPS driver. She was the first female driver in Orlando, Florida to work that long with no accidents. And she was a strong woman, and she raised a strong woman, right? And with that being said, I didn't like complain. I just figured it out. But it was the first time that I said, I'm not okay and I need help. And through all of that and being able to get that help, I formed my own personal relationship with the plant. And that's when I knew, I'm like, you know what? I want to create a brand that's focused on women feeling better, doing better, getting better, being able to say when I'm not okay, and using this plant to bring the wellness into our life. Cannabis shouldn't be, I'm just going to go smoke when I want to hang out. It should be at every, if you're suffering from anxiety, I've created a gummy that has a formulation that includes functional mushrooms, minerals, and vitamins. So think about lion's mane, right? Think about CBG. Think about all these ingredients that you add to a formulation in a gummy that's just not glycerin, or not glycerin, but that's not pectin and corn syrup and THC.
Yep.
And on top of that, they taste good. So I did a energy line formulation, that's strawberry punch. I did a hybrid midday. Imagine a 5 milligram of THC, but you have all these other different mushrooms and everything else in there. That just to give you balance, right? I suffered from extreme anxiety after my accident. I could be riding a car. You could be the safest driver, but I would have these anxiety attacks. I still do.
Yeah.
And when I feel it, it starts here. It feels like I'm having a heart attack. It feels like I get the construct.
Yeah, it gets tight.
It gets tight. I feel like I'm about to pass out again. But and think about the moms, the working moms, the stay-at-home moms, the remote working moms, just young people that are suffering from extreme anxiety. To be able to take a a cannabis-based gummy or edible, but not get so effed up that you can't function. That just brings you some balance. Our endocannabinoid system needs the balance of this plant. We need to be fed. And when I take my bliss, it's called bliss because it makes me find my happiness. and it's a watermelon flavor, which is wonderful. But when I ingest it, I'm telling you, about 20, 25 minutes later, I feel like a scale. I feel like I'm like, and I can breathe. And I just go through my breathing exercises, and then I just kind of just mellow out, and I'm on with my day, right? And so, from a relationship with someone who used to work at True Leaf, she knew that I was pushing my brand out there, and I actually MJBiz launched Black Buddha. Because in 2022, after everything happened, so it was at the end of 2021. Because I went to MJBiz. The last day, I walked around with my one T-shirt that I had made with my one logo. I had some business cards made up, and I walked around to all the different booths, picking up their business cards and just introducing myself. I saw Pam Moore, who's the senior editorial director with MJBiz, and she's like, "Roz, what are you doing?" I said, "Pam, let me introduce Black Buddha to you." And Black Buddha, if you look at it, underneath it says, "Not get high, get enlightened." And I wanted people to get enlightened to the power of this plant. And so it gives me so much joy to bring something that people just resonate. And I took a page from a lifestyle brand, so I gotta make sure I lace you down with our hoodies and our merch.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I took a page from cookies.
Okay.
Because cookies everywhere in every state may not have the best weed, but what they do have is they created a lifestyle brand.
It is a brand, yeah.
That you, even if you don't smoke, you want to wear the brand.
Yep.
Even if you do it, it's a brand, right?
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
Well, they launched the whole dispensary in the middle of Herald Square in New York that sells no weed.
No weed.
All it sells is merch.
Yeah.
Just merch.
So, like,
right?
It's literally a brand.
You go. It's a lifestyle brand. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm gonna do the product side, but I'm gonna create this cool merch that you just love rocking and you love wearing. And let me tell you something. When people wear the Black Buddha, if you look at the head, so my merch has a different logo than the product, and that was intentional. I wanted people to, on my product, it has a certain logo, but when you wear my merch, I wanted you to embrace the Buddha part of Black Buddha. And I don't know if you know, but the first Buddhists came from Africa. They didn't come from Asia.
Really?
They were African in nature. They had wide brim nose. They had woolly hair. I mean, this is all, you can go look it up and read it. And so when I looked at it, if you look at some of our merch, it looks like a woman from African descent. She's a Buddha, but she looks like she's from African descent. And so I was just like, that's it, Black Buddha. I'm a Black woman, and I'm not a Buddhist, but I will tell you this: there is power in self-healing and saying, I am healed, I am well, I am strong. Yep. And so Nicole got me. I fought Nicole, y'all. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed because I don't know why Nicole's my friend, because I know she should probably say F you, Roz, because she would come in and she would try to give me my medicine, and she's like, and I was so out of it. I was light sensitive, I was sound sensitive, and she would say, you gotta say your mantras, and I'm like, I'm not saying it. She's like, yes you are. I'm like, no I'm not. And she eventually made me, and I started saying it, and it was, my CBD every day. It was my cannabis flower when I needed to vape it, and I dry vaped it. It was my functional mushrooms. Right? Marley One, the CEO, sent me all of the functional mushroom tinctures. I started putting it in my tea. So I was just, that's when my healing began. And that's how Black Buddha started, and here we are.
Listen, I know we're taking a lot of your time. As you guys know, we are in the middle of a damn party.
Yes. I can go on and on. I'm sorry.
No, because I want to get back to one other point about Black Buddha, because you had mentioned about working together, right? And these spaces bringing Black and brown folks together, which is really important for us to have that unity. But the reality is that we need all folks in the industry, right? To include the dirty word MSO, right? And so, I just want to usher in the conversation of like, you went in that direction.
I did.
Right? And I think sometimes people don't understand enough of those relationships and what that means. And one thing that personally I feel a way about is that they don't always value the Black and brown brands that they have, even though we're always the flavor and the culture. And so, with what you recently experienced, what do we need to do to make sure that our voices are heard
Yeah.
Go ahead. I know you got it.
I got it. So, and I'll bring it full circle. She's talking about the fact that we were onboarded with a multi-state operator who brought us to market in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania. And after less than a year, off-boarded us. And when I say onboarded, they made the decision, yes, we're committed to your brand, and we want to produce your product. We want to white label it. We want to package it up for you, and we want to produce it and put it on shelves so consumers can buy it. Offboarding basically says, you know what, we're giving you 30 days and we're not going to make your products anymore. And no reason, right?
No contract?
Yeah, we have a contract, but there's a piece in there is called termination for convenience that, so.
This sounds terrible.
It was convenient to
It was
terminate.
convenient, right. So let me tell you something. First and foremost, I believe everything in my life happens for a reason.
Big facts.
Okay? So as pissed as I was, and when I tell you I was pissed to the highest level of festivity, as pissed as I was, it's a reason why it was me. Because my shoulders were strong enough to not only figure it out, but to excel from this negative, this experience, so that I could then tell the story to make sure the next brands behind me that look like me, that you don't do the same thing that I did, or that you learn from my experience, right?
Yep.
If I don't go through the ups and downs of business and life, because listen, I'm a businesswoman. I'm fine with a business decision if you say, oh, this is what we're going to do, but give me the fair warning or give me the opportunity to understand where you're going so I can make, but don't make a decision and don't think twice about how it's going to affect me, right? So now I'm in a position where my brand has been pretty much legs cut underneath it. You don't give me any fair warning, so I'm in the middle of a capital raise, which now has gone to crap because now investors
you
are
don't
like,
have product,
right?
yeah.
Right? They're like, okay, we love you, Roz, but you know. And then on top of that, you didn't give me the opportunity to go cut a new deal
while
without
you're so active.
Right, because now if I'm going to go cut a deal with a producer, you've cut my legs out, my ability to negotiate to get the highest revenue opportunity for myself, right? So if nothing else this has done, it has made me stronger, but it's also given me an opportunity to tell a story and to educate and prepare the next people behind me as to what you should do. So right now we're in the midst of a new contract with a new producer. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna still be in Massachusetts, still be in Pennsylvania, and still gonna work with MSOs. Because you know what? I'm not going to categorize everybody in one bucket.
Yeah.
You know? Because I do, in some markets I don't work with the MSO, but in other markets, because I'm a startup incubated brand, I need the resources they bring to the table to offset what and especially when capital is not accessible as normal, right?
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit, because I think, you know, especially in this new market, in Jersey we have a new market, it's a lot of legacy folks too, right? And when you talk about working with an MSO, people don't understand, and I think that we need to have some more education on like why it actually is important for us to do both directions, both routes, self-fund and MSO.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, one reason why, like, federal legalization for me, I definitely want to see it come in from the decriminalization standpoint. But from the business standpoint, they can leave this shit just like it is right now.
Exactly. I tell that all the time. I was like, it's going to mess the money up.
Because what happens is, the deal I cut in Ohio, I don't have to cut the same deal in Massachusetts.
Right.
Yep.
The deal I cut, I can go and be a millionaire just off of Ohio alone. The deal I cut in New Jersey, I don't have to cut the same deal in Illinois.
Take notes.
Right?
And leverage change state by state.
Leverage it state by state, right? So the thing about it is that when you cut your deal, you look at, you know, like Pennsylvania is a MSO-driven state, and the ability to find and to be able to drive your business outside of an MSO is pretty much it's non-existent right now. So, but that doesn't mean that can't be a strong state for me, right? So I'm telling you right now, you have to look at the states that you're in, that are available, and if you have to do a deal and work, I shouldn't say if you have to, but if there's an opportunity to do a deal, don't be apprehensive. You just have to, I think, educate yourself and think about and reach out to people like myself and other different brands that would be considered equity or lower or incubated brands and go, give me what were the pros, the cons, what's your highs, your lows, what was your learning lesson? The biggest learning lesson, when you do a contract, and I just told the folks with the new company that wants to bring us in, I said, and any clause that says termination for convenience, it needs to be removed.
Yep. It's like I've never
Right?
seen that line again.
You learned your lesson.
I learned my
Yes,
lesson, right?
that's crazy.
But I'm not going to say, till, whatever. I will tell you this. Gary Santos brought us into Tilt, and he's a stand-up guy.
Okay.
I got caught up in the leaving of Gary, the leaving of a lot of people under Gary, the commitment that Gary gave to Black Buddha as the CEO of Tilt at that time is not the same commitment when the new CEO came in,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And be it right, wrong, or indifferent, the relationship that I had with Gary was a Gary, Roz, Black Buddha, and things changed. And so for me, I just, yes, I was angry. Yes, I was livid. But it's given me just another nuance as a businesswoman to make sure how I prep myself. And at least if we had to do a mess up, do it when I'm first getting started and not when I'm 3 or 4 years down the road, right?
Yeah.
It happened in less than year one, right?
Yep.
And now I get people like, I'm having conversations with different MSOs and people that are like, Roz, we love you, we love your brand, let's figure this out together. And it feels so good for people to they love what Black Buddha stands for. And it's Black excellence, it's Black love, it's Black support, it's the culture, it's the, it's everything that I believe in my community, and I'm super proud.
And we are super proud of you.
Thank you.
And we are very, very thankful for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And you know me, you got to talk separately.
I know. We're going to make it happen.
We'll make some things happen.
Man, and thank you for this outlet and for being here at the Dice Mixer. This is our first year having the NFT. This is called the NFT room. But utilizing this to hear the stories of folks that you normally probably may not have that connection with or what have you. This is beautiful. And I'm really, really proud of you and what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes, so thank you
so much.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, it's time to smoke some more blunts, do some more dabs, and unfortunately not drink some more coffee. Poor Corey.
The coffee and cannabis, guys. Yeah.
Listen, I drink big cups of coffee, black,
Yeah.
like my beautiful skin.
But, we're here at the Dice Mixer party. It's time to turn up. We're closing out the night. Thank you so much for being with us. Martin Luther III, thank you for coming on. Thank you, Roz, for the platform. For
everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
for real.
You're welcome. No, thank you for being here. And next year, we're going to do it bigger. We're going to do it better. We're going to love on one another and make this... this feels so good. Like, if you guys are not here, you need to be here next year.
Yeah.
Because the energy and just the camaraderie and everything, it feels so good. And this wasn't what it was like 4 years ago. And for this to change like this and having this, this experience, I'm glad. And thank you for everybody who showed up. So,
yes.
Thank you, guys.
Follow all the things. M for MM United.
Yes. M for MM United. Instagram, Twitter/X. Facebook. Follow Black Buddha Cannabis. So BUDDHA Cannabis. Type all 3 words in because for some reason Instagram. Yes, they do. But once you type all 3 in, you will see us, and then we will have some really special announcements coming up. We're coming strong, and I just want you guys to love on Black Buddha. So reach out or go to our website, blackbuddha.com. .co rather. .co. Yeah.
And send the money.
Yeah.
Send the money to
M4MM.
Send the goddamn money.
Send the money. Thank you.
Yo, until next time, we'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.
Bye-bye.